How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today I'm going to be going over what's new in the Hallowed Nights update for 2018. So for those who are maybe new to Don't Starve Together, Hallowed Nights has had a bit of a history in past years. In 2016 and 2017 both, this event has existed. It's just it didn't have all the features that it has right now. So this update here, this particular video, is going to be focusing on what was specifically added here in 2018. I hope that makes sense. So let's start with the item collection. The first thing that Hallowed Nights introduces, of course, is a new chest with various belongings or character skins in them. Now, there are a couple of options when you go and buy this. So if you want to gift it to a friend, you're going to have to use the Steam DLC version of it. And this costs a little bit more. Basically, there are two separate chests here. One's for $10 and one's for $9. All the prices here are USD. This is what you would have to pay if you gifted it to a friend. But if you buy it in the game, you can get you can get both of these up here for $12.99. So what this means is that if you buy, if you go ahead and buy this chest while the event is running, you can buy it in the game here at a significant discount. But once the event ends, it will still be available on Steam as DLC in both of these two packs here. In addition to that, there are some icons for this event, 5 new ones. There are 3 new vignettes that you can unlock or weave. Same thing with portraits. There are 5 of those. No new emoticons or emotes, but then there are also, right here are the belongings from the belongings chest if you buy that. And then, of course, each character, there are a total of 6 characters. The characters chest contained 6 new themed characters for the Hallowed Nights event. In addition to this, you're still going to be able to earn previous event drops during Hallowed Nights. So in the past 2 years, the collection that was enabled during this event was called the Costume Collection. And when you receive drops, you know, your normal 4 drops per week while playing Don't Starve Together, right now you're still going to be able to receive any of these past items that were from the Costume Collection. So, you know, for people who are interested in getting something, perhaps there's actually a pretty prestigious one here. The Creepy Cauldron. This thing has historically had quite a cost attached to it. It's good to see that you can get this again, and hopefully with more players receiving, you know, some of these more exclusive Costume Collection drops as items, it will drive the price down on the Steam marketplace for others who would like to buy it at a reasonable price, you know, something that isn't $60 for it, because that's kind of ridiculous for one single skin like this. And that's kind of like what it's historically tracked at. So with the cosmetics out of the way, I'm just going to cover now what's been added in the 2018 version of Hallowed Nights to the game itself. This is content that pretty much everybody is going to be able to see appear in their worlds, regardless of when you started your world. This type of content should appear. And it's free. There's no cost to use it or anything like that. Okay, so first things first. You'll probably notice the most recent addition here for the 2018 version of Hallowed Nights in Don't Starve Together is the addition of a mad scientist lab. You can craft this for 2 cut stone and 2 electrical doodads, and when you craft it, you'll see this thing appear. It's basically a crafting station, and at the bottom of your crafting menu, you should see a Mad Science tab appear when you're close to it. See? Inside this Mad Science tab, you'll find the potions that I've laid out here on the ground to my right. One is called the Phobic Experiment. So that would be this one here at the far right. This one will increase your bravery when you are chopping trees. Most of these potions, I should just probably put this as a disclaimer, most of them are marginally useful in my opinion. The second one is the Sanguine Experiment. It requires mosquito red cap and, you know, some sanity. This one gives you the flask, this heart-shaped item. And when you eat it, it restores a little bit of health, and then it works much as the jelly beans would from Don't Starve Together. It just sort of restores your health over time. Unfortunately, my health is capped out here, so you won't be able to see it continuing to affect my health over, I think it is a minute duration. The third one is the Psychosis Experiment, which is this little pink flask here. This restores your sanity. So if I make myself insane here for a bit, I'll just eat one of these. By default, it gives you 5, but then you'll notice it will slowly tick up over time. It's up to 7, 8. And like the sanguine mixture, there's a large one and a small one. The large one's more potent than the small one, but there's a less chance of it being crafted when you build one here at the Mad Science Lab. The last potion, or not the last potion, let's cover this potion next though. The Arboretum experiment, let's say. It allows you to craft or sort of build a living tree. It uses a living log on a basilisk wing, and you get this totally normal root flask from it. And with this flask, you can plant it in the ground, much like you would a regular seedling. And you may have noticed in the corner of the screen, these totally normal trees grew out of this bottle, this little haunted tree in a bottle. Okay, our sanity has stopped restoring. You say we got a good 30 sanity here. Let's eat the larger one. And you should see one affects my sanity a little bit more. So now these trees, this basically allows you to grow additional totally normal trees, which is probably one of the coolest additions that this new science lab brings. During this event, these totally normal trees can be decorated. So if we click on it, you can see there's a little inventory here, and you can just put these decorations inside it. Now the decorations I've laid out here, there are a total of 5 as far as I'm aware, and you'll only be able to decorate the tree with these decorations here. You're not going to be able to use, the regular trinkets from the Hallowed Nights events, like a toy cobra. You're not going to be able to decorate the tree with it. See, that input is not allowed. So even when the tree is sort of in its juvenile stage, this isn't fully grown yet here, you can still decorate it. So we can put like a spider on it, a crow, and a ghost. And it looks pretty spiffy, just like that. Spider and bat. They were going to balance it out. And apparently also during the Hallowed Nights event here, any totally normal tree that exists in your world will now have these very red, glowing, fiery eyes. They really don't do anything. It's basically the same as an ordinary, totally normal tree, but it's just a little bit of a visual effect there. The last potion is called the Sulfuric Experiment, and I've got 2 of them lined up here. They're used in fire pits. From what I've seen, their use is, once again, in my opinion, a bit marginal, but they will give you specific effects. If you zoom in here, you might see it. It reminds me a bit of like a fireworks show. We've got some light, just like little, I don't know, what would you want to call it? Little embers of fire sort of flying up from the fire pit. And if you combine both of them, it will give 2 different effects. So now we have the little ember sort of bubbling over, and we also have some spitting up into the sky. In addition to this, these little balls make the fire burn longer. So they're not completely visual. There is some practical use to them. Lastly, I'd like to point out that the Mad Science Lab here is a little bit special in its own right in terms of how you craft at it. So, most crafting stations, you will hit the crafting button, your character will craft it almost immediately. But here, for example, if we make a psychosis experiment, you'll see it'll take a while for the potion to actually brew. So the station itself is crafting it. It's slowly bubbling and creating our psychic fortitude potion. And like I mentioned before, most of these have 2 levels of it. So one is more potent than the other. I personally think this phobic abatement potion is a little bit meaningless, but a lot of it is not intended to be strictly useful. It's supposed to have a bit more of a fun feel to it. So I think that pretty much covers everything that's new here in the 2018 version of Hallowed Nights. Of course, the classics all exist. You'll be able to find trinkets scattered about the world, Halloween-themed trinkets, and trade them in at the Pig King for candy that you can eat or whatnot, and you'll be able to craft the candy bag and use that to hold all of your additional trinkets and candy because it has more slots than an ordinary backpack. But the most significant additions for this event here in 2018 now are the Mad Scientist Lab, and really the ability to replant and grow new, totally normal trees. Like, there is benefit to being able to do this. It does cost 1 log to grow one, but once it's cut down, you'll get 2 logs from that plus 1 from the stump. So you'll have a net gain in terms of living logs. The one last thing that I would like to point out here is that this station will continue to work after the Hallowed Nights event ends in your world, providing you've already built it. So it will disappear from the crafting menu here, the science crafting tab, but providing you already have it built in your world, this will serve as a source of totally normal trees, for example. You would still be able to craft every single potion here that the Mad Scientist Lab gives you access to, even though the Hallowed Nights event has ended. So I think this gives you a decent incentive to at least play the event if you have something like a Mega Base world, and make sure you add this Mad Scientist Lab to it, so that way later on you can always come back to it and use it even after the event has ended. So that pretty much does it for this video. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time.